Hello my beautiful friends, welcome back to the channel and the third dare in our series where I'm giving you 4 of our dares from inside our Dare Darling membership, where I make empathetic doctors unshakable with their mindsets. And the whole point of mindset coaching is that we change your behavior, not just your mindset. The reason we coach on mindset and the emotions that come with these mindsets is because ultimately it affects your behavior. Our thoughts create our emotions, which then drive our behaviors. Our behaviors create our results in our life. So that's why I created the Dare Darling Dares, to make sure to be the proof that we are actually making mindset changes that translate into results. Because for a lot of us, and I'm sure in your experience too, we can actually find that it's not too hard to talk the talk. And I spent the first couple of years of, listening to self-development where I was just talking the talk, but that talk didn't show up in my behaviors. Because it's a different thing to have an internalized and experiential change in your mindset versus just having intellectual knowledge that you can sort of regurgitate. And that's why in Dare Darling, in coaching in general, we look at your behaviors. We look at your behaviors because it's your behaviors that reveal what you are thinking, right? And if somebody's saying, I think about myself or other people or this thing or this challenge, but their behaviors don't match that, we know that we have to backtrack and look at what we really think. We have to investigate what we think further because our behaviors reveal our thoughts. So in Dare Darling, I prompt and challenge my members to take on these dares, to execute on these dares, to show where we've actually changed our mindsets, and also to show us where we want to do more work and where we have more work to do. Because it's so easy for us to sit back in our comfort zone and keep doing what we've always been doing and then be unaware of the skills that we don't have because we're not putting ourselves in situations that demand those skills. So I'm offering you 4 of these dares in this series so that you can go out and start to do some of this work yourself. Start to discover yourself, start to discover where you have skills and where you want to keep doing those reps and maybe expand and strengthen those skills, and also where you don't quite have the skills yet, where you're all talk, but you can't actually do the walk. And let these dares be prompts for you. Don't use them as an opportunity for you to judge yourself about being all talk and no walk. Use these dares to show yourself where you can get stronger, where you can have more, where you want to do your next piece of self-coaching work. Self-coaching is something that I teach in Dare Darling too. With all this talk about Dare Darling, I'll let you know it is linked down below. If you'd like to come and join us, you'll probably have to join a waitlist because the doors aren't always open, but link down below if this is sounding like something that you want to be involved with. I adore this group. It's currently application only because, well, I adore this group and I want to protect this high standard and amazing greenhouse that we have here. So with all that being said, let's get on to dare number 3. And guys, warning, this one is going to be the one that brings up the most discomfort, I would say, because it's the dare that has the most prolonged challenge in it for you to hold space for yourself. Whereas the other dares that are in the presence of other people, they're more short-lived. But that's okay, you've been building these skills over the last 2 weeks now, right? So I'm building you up for this one that's a bit tougher. And that is for you to have a conversation, an interaction with somebody else that is entirely about you, right? And again, I know you might have resistance. Straight away, expect that resistance coming out to be like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that kind of person. That sounds rude. That sounds selfish. Let that all come up and stay with me. Stay with me here. Because remember, A, that is your default expected response based on your old conditioning. That is nice woman, good girl, clinician conditioning, which is always put others first. Always serve. The way to be worthy, the way to be valuable is to serve other people. Make other people comfortable. Make sure you don't make other people uncomfortable. If other people are uncomfortable, then it's your responsibility to make them comfortable again. All right, we expect that to come up. Stay. And secondly, I want you to remember these are not rules for life. This is not my handbook of how to live your life always and every day. These are just challenges that I want you to take on so that you have the ability, the skill to take up space and resources. Not only in this context in your life, at times where you do want to hold the conversation on yourself for a particular reason. Maybe you're struggling with something. Maybe you want to solve a problem. Maybe you are celebrating something. There's lots of good personal and professional reasons to hold the topic of conversation on yourself or something that's important to you. But also because remember, these are skills that we create that you can then extrapolate out to other parts of your life too. It's not just about the individual action that we're taking. It's about the way we change our relationship with ourselves, the way we change how we think about ourselves, the way we change our self-concept and how we make decisions. All right? So the dare is to have a conversation with somebody else and just hold the attention on you the whole time. And this means you don't get to the end of that conversation, right? And then be like, and what about you? And what's going on with you? You just let the conversation end there. The challenge is to not totally reciprocate all the time. Let it be about you. I've had the most beautiful conversations with my friends where I didn't even realize this was happening, right? I was just in the interaction with them, enjoying their presence, enjoying being a part of the world, honored by being, included in the conversation, whether it was about a terrible, awful thing and their suffering and something that was hard they were going through, or whether it was about celebrating them. But I'm just there being delighted to be a part of it. And at the end of the conversation, she'll say, I just talked about myself this whole time. I'm so sorry. What about you? And it was just so unnecessary. I had no need for reciprocation because listen to the way I was thinking. I was already having a two-way experience with her. It doesn't need to be tit for tat, tick for tat, tit for tat. You know what I mean. It doesn't need to be an equal exchange in that way. I was already getting my experience of relating with her at that time. And when we do this, when we try and make it transactional like that, we do a disservice to our relationships. Our relationships aren't transactional. The way we relate to other people and share experiences with other people aren't that mechanically, simply transactional. And I've had conversations with other people where I've tried so hard to keep the attention on them. Right? In particular, I'm thinking of somebody who was going through something difficult. I worked so hard to stay diligent, to keep bringing the conversation back to him, because every time he would just find a way to wind it back to something wonderful about me instead of being able to hold the space for himself. And I felt like I was missing out on a real interaction with him until he started actually feeling like he had permission to open up and start speaking freely and holding some space for himself. I was missing out until he started being open with me, and I value that. I can feel that. So I want you to think about it from those perspectives. Are you underestimating your relationships? Are you expecting that your relationships are transactional? Are you thinking that it's selfish to just talk about yourself and not realizing how that's not only underestimating the relationship that you have, but also stealing that opportunity for your friend or your other to feel really connected with you and valued by you and trusted by you and honored by you? So as I said, this is probably one of the dares that you'll find the most challenging just because it requires a prolonged discipline with your thoughts to allow the conversation to continue to be about you and to not jump on that impulse to then transact and make it about them as well. I can think of thoughts of like, oh yeah, it's good that I've done it for 2 minutes now, that's enough, so that's too much now. Now I should swap it back to them. Watch for those thoughts that come up, that try and direct that time, the attention away from you. Remember, the dare is to hold the conversation just on you. Your automatic mind is not going to want to do this. It's going to say it's disrespectful, it's selfish, they're going to not like me anymore, right? And remember, These are the very mindsets that we want to challenge to create new skills and opportunities for you. Let that stuff come up and commit to doing the dare anyway. I love the way these dares challenge the whole concept of what's selfish. Even just thinking about, how permission giving this is in your relationships with other people for the other person in the relationship with you. Think about dare number 2. If you can receive compliments and celebrate yourself, think about how that gives the other person permission to do the same thing, because they're like, oh, I thought they'd think I was arrogant if, I enjoyed or delighted in or even just accepted a compliment. Clearly they don't think that about someone accepting a compliment. Oh, maybe I can celebrate myself. And in this case, for dare number 3, the other gets permission to also hold the conversation when it's natural and when it's right on them, and not feel like they have to transact with you. Think about how unselfish that message is that you're sending, ironically, by holding all the attention on you. All right, my beautiful friends, as always, it would delight me if you would let me know if you are going to take on this dare this week. Best of luck. Watch what that mind is doing. It's going to want to sabotage you. Remember, it's just your old conditioning talking, and we can overcome that. Good luck, and see you guys next week.